I'll let the audience in on a little secret. I am a recovering banker. Thank you for laughing.
I laughed.
Right. I'm a recovering banker. There's a support group and everything. You can join us. I was a banker for 17 years. I was head of retail bank in 3 countries in the region. And so, you know, maybe, gentlemen, you can comment on this. First of all, if you can introduce yourself and speak a bit about your company and your direction. But then can you talk to me about the role of banks? Is the role of banks decreasing in the remittance space? And Nebil, maybe we can start with you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nebil Ben Aissa. I'm CEO of Nexus Network, and we operate multiple payment processing companies in the region. In Qatar, we're QPAY, we're Nexus in UAE and other markets. We focus primarily on the SMEs, and we service the low-end clients that work for the SMEs. So we have, I'd say, 500,000 or more cardholders that are low-wage, unbanked employees in the region and growing. We take a different approach. So we don't lead with the remittance product, as the gentleman before was here. We lead more with trying to bank the unbanked. And once we bank them and service them, then we see other opportunities to offer them remittances. Although right now we charge 0 for remittance services in our markets.
Promoth.
Thank you. My name is Promoth Manghat. I'm the Group CEO of UAE Exchange. We are the second largest player in money transfer in terms of market share, handling $30 billion every year annually, covering 45 markets directly and covering almost 150 countries across the globe. The way we look at it on the role of banks on remittances, I will say, I don't want to use the word decreasing, but I would like to use the word the friend from TransferWise mentioned about is about reinventing the role of remittance, because in the sharing economy, we feel that the role of the bank is coming out of merely an intermediary role or as a spoke in the whole network of things. Because increasingly we see that the swift workflow, as the friend showed, this is what we have experienced, that the whole thing in terms of the whole workflow is getting much more streamlined, much more easier, because the fintechs, the new age companies have really find a way to make it much more easier, cheaper, and much more effective as well. And for instance, we itself have experienced that, for example, like one of the largest market that we serve is India, where we handle $8 billion every year. Not so long back, around 6 years back, it used to take 24 to 72 hours to place money. We launched a product called Flash Remit in 2011, where currently our 60% remittances happen through this product. It happens instantaneous, real-time online. So that's where we have helped to take the cost out. The value is across past the chain, and end of the day, it passes to the customer. I think as long as banks embrace this change, I think you are on the game.
Okay. So I think that leads well into my next question. There are, here in the region, every country in this region, I would argue, is overbanked. There are way too many banks here. There are, in your space, Promoth, there's many players in the remittance space, in the exchange house area. Is there a need for new players in the remittance space? Because today we've heard so many different companies, dynamic companies who are offering new technologies and solutions. Ziad, welcome. You know, who are offering new technologies and new opportunities for customers. But do we need any new players in this space?
I think the role of the players is changing. For example, now, look at the remittance. Specifically, 2-3 things which we see really emerging out has been the significant importance of data. So I think you need experts who can come and really help you in looking at the data, or even looking at some of the technology which you're talking about it specifically. One of the things which now we are working on specifically on KYC as well as on settlement is the use case of blockchain. So we work with players like that who can really go and change those kind of things. And also regulatory-wise, because the regulators are quite open when you go and talk about some of the new technology which it's there. So you don't have to go and reinvent the whole wheel, but you can go exactly understand who is the right partner for that. So the flavor and the nature of the players coming in is changing. It's not the erstwhile legacy player is coming into that new market.
Nebil, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, before I answer though, let's take a show of hands. How many bankers do we have in the room? Come on, don't be shy. Raise your hand. I mean, okay, how many exchange houses or MTOs do we have? Okay, and how about Fintech? All right, cool. All right, so I'll share our experience, which is kind of good. It looks like we have a good mix of fintech, MTOs, and bankers. I think the solution, to your point, is a combination of everybody working together. I think from the banker's perspective, they want to get a piece of their remittance revenues, et cetera, but then they just cannot bank these low end and have them come to the branch, okay? At the same time, for the MTOs, they see a lot of the customers are moving to having Androids and mobile phones, et cetera. And then for the fintech, there's also opportunities for us to come in and partner with these existing players to kind of take the whole industry to the next level. I think the real enemy in the room is not ourselves, is cash. Right? Everybody's, they feel cash. It's they want to have that cash in their hand. So they get paid electronically. They stick their ATM card, get the cash, walk into the MTO, and it costs them, time and money. And there was a lot of issues of them handling the cash and taking the cash and sending it. So to digitize the process, okay, from the bank, because the bank usually owns the original deposits from the employers, all the way down to the employee, but it doesn't end there. Also from the other side. So what's happening now in India, with the demonetization of their notes, now it's creating a much easier way to send money, because now the other side, instead of them receiving the money and then also going and getting in cash, now they can also receive that money in a digital way. So I think to answer your question, does the market need more or less? I think we just need the right players to come in and partner with the existing ecosystem. And then everybody cannot take the whole end-to-end cycle. You just have to identify where you play and where you can contribute.
But ultimately, you have established players, and specifically banks, that are going to have to change. They're going to have to embrace some of these technologies, changes to the revenue streams. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly, because what we have seen is that specifically on the fintech side, it is like the gradual to sudden. Because anything on the fintech, it looks very gradual, less threatening in the initial phase. And suddenly you find that is going to really transform the whole things. So that's the thing which you need to watch out, because you cannot take and wait for a strong signal to come in. Especially that's why the partnerships, and also go behind the problems that we are searching for. And it's not that you come with a solution and then you look for what kind of problem you're going to fix it. So it's exactly the right partnership specifically, and making sure that you embrace that. And that's a very critical element.
Here on the panel here, Ziad has some experience in getting banks to embrace new technology. So as the managing director of Quisk, you have a digital wallet solution and numerous other symbiotic technologies. And I know you've partnered with banks. Maybe you can touch on your experience in getting banks to embrace this technology, specifically related to the remittance space.
Yes. So first, let me clarify one thing. We're not a digital wallet, but we help wallets and bank accounts. We enable them to do more transaction at the point of sale on ATMs and as well as remittance. Now, me coming from the background in 2003, I was part of the team who invented the NFC. And we realized that in 2006, me and my friend George, that if we're going to focus at one element of payment, we're not going to make enough money, and the ecosystem was expensive at that time, and there were no smartphones, etc. So we decided to flip it to, we decided to start a new company, a new startup, which today called Quisk. And part of it, what we offer is remittance. So what we're trying to enable basically is the whole digital experience from the front end, where the end user or the customer receives his salary, to the moment that he transfers it to the other end. So basically what we're offering banks is, rather than the customer at the other end, when he receives the money, rather than he goes to the bank and withdraw the money from the bank itself, he can withdraw money directly from the ATM machine using his mobile number plus a PIN after one-time registration. So it doesn't matter where the source of fund it is, as long as you have a front end that can enable you to deal with cash flexibly, then it should be easy for the end user to send money. So today, when we look at M-Pesa and all those services, they're actually limited because they work only with one network. Where we are in Quisk today, when we give our solution, we give it to multiple banks, which is multiple issuers and multiple acquirers. So basically, a telecom can be an issuer with us as well as a bank can be an issuer with us. And then the settlement happens among them. It doesn't matter where the money is. Is it coming out of a billing system at the telecom company or coming out of a bank account? For us, we give the tool to those organizations to facilitate a better remittance system. And today, most of the challenges between banks and telecom operators in terms of, let's say, low amount money transfer or payment is that their systems are not talking to each other. And the moment we figure out how these systems can talk to each other, then we will figure out the volume and the system becomes overall efficient and agile. So what do you want? You don't want to make things complicated for the end user. Today, if I am a customer with M-Pesa and my brother is a customer of X bank, I cannot transfer the money to him using M-Pesa. So what we thought of using Quisk today is no matter where the money is, it should be transferred among the banks. Of course, in each country we will have what we call a settlement bank who is going to settle among the telecoms and the banks themselves. So we have learned from the market itself that if you want to do something, you have to simplify it, like M-Pesa, for example, and you have to make it digital for cities, smart cities like Dubai, New York, London. So you have to offer it for both. So you have to offer for the low market, low end, which they have a small amount of money to deal with on a daily basis, and for those who think that they are, fintech and more secure and big amount of monies that they want to transfer. So through our partners, we were trying today to offer these services. So for us, as a Quisk, we realize where is the problem is, and we try to sort it out for exchange houses, telecom companies, and banks as well.
So you touched on offering a simple, easy to use, digital solution to cash that is accessible to all segments of the market, from the high net worth individuals to the unbanked.
True.
Yeah. So that's it. So that leads me to a question for you, Nebil. So as
I'm not going to speak for 5 minutes, I promise.
It's all good. As the CEO of QPAY, that's what you do. You offer a simple, easy to use digital solution to cash for largely the unbanked. So how do you take the next step to the remittance space?
So that's a good question. First of all, my objective in this panel is just going to share our experience and kind of help the ecosystem, because like I said, we see the opportunity here of us attacking cash, and that's what this whole event is all about. So what we've done with QPAY is that we focused on technically banking the unbanked. So offering them a turnkey solution, giving them an IBAN, follow the rules of the Qatar Central Bank with a WPS, which is a little bit different than it is in UAE, where every employee must have a bank account. So we attacked it from giving an employee an actual bank account, okay? Once we got them to use a bank account, and the next thing was, okay, what do we do now in partnership with a bank? So we work with 5-6 banks in Qatar. We extend their model and say, okay, what can we do now for us to help that employee to the next level now that they're banked? And of course, the remittance becomes a key component. Now, how do you make it simple? So partner with the local exchange houses to enable them to send money. Some of them are not comfortable using us. Even though you think, okay, you have 500,000+ customers, some of them still want to go to UAE exchange. So they go to UAE exchange and they transact at a POS or at the ATM, and then send their money. So for us, it's more of an approach of kind of looking at the holistic experience. And then the other thing is who receives the money from the other side. So we work with a bank called UBL, United Bank Limited. UBL is a Pakistani bank. Pakistan has a PRI, which is called the Pakistan Remittance Initiative. So Pakistan as a country, if you send money into Pakistan, okay, for every $100, or if anything over $100, Pakistani government will give you $7 back. Okay? Why? Because they want that foreign money so they can buy oil and gas and all this, it's a hard currency. So we work with UBL, and we simplify that process for them. So this is our strategy, is to kind of be a member of the ecosystem and kind of help in digitizing and also help our partners.
Okay, and I think we just have time for one last question, which I wanted to ask you, Promoth. So UAE Exchange, incredible name, very well known, one of the biggest players in the remittance space globally, I believe. You have a presence in 45 countries?
45 countries.
45 countries, right? Here in the UAE, if you close your eyes and you throw a stone, you might hit a UAE exchange. I think you've got 146 outlets around the country, am I right?
150.
You have 150 outlets around the UAE, so you have this incredible bricks and mortar presence, and you're very much a trusted brand to your customers. But my question is, in 2017, I still have to physically go to a branch to send money. So I guess the question is, where is the tech in this fin, if you will? What's the future direction?
See, I think the tech for us is in all the three. The first mile, the last mile, and the whole process. It's not that you cannot look at the tech only on the one channel alone. If you look at it, depending upon each of the market, the maturity of adopting the tech in the first mile, the last mile, and the process varies. A market like UAE, on the first mile, we are yet to see that, but quite a lot happening on the process. For example, the prepaid program that we have done where we have made the foreign currency cashless. We have made it into plastic. We have got close to 500,000 cards on Go Cash. We have bring about best technology. Or look at the WPS, it's completely carded. 85% of the disbursement is completely carded on to do that. So that's a tech in terms of the process. On the last mile, you look at, substantially in distribution across the payments, the cash distribution of money transfer is merely 18%. The 82% is non-cash. It could be to a bank account, it could be to a prepaid wallet, it could be to the M-Pesa, you name it. You name the kind of distribution that we have. But when you go to some other markets, say for example, I want to bring a market like GCC, we have got service where you can, Qatar, if you go to Qatar, we are able to offer the online solution because in the market in UAE currently, the biggest impediment for us is the payment gateway. We are not able to realize it. In terms of product, the online is available. It's up and running in 12 markets across the globe from US, UK, Australia, Europe, in Qatar, in Bahrain, but not in UAE. So it's not the question of, it's a question of having the right matured payment realization gateway for us to activate that. But that's not the end because this is a continuous journey. So you need to find tech in all the three, the first mile, the process, as well as in the last mile.
Great discussion. I wish we had time for questions. Unfortunately, we don't. We've got to keep the program moving. I've really enjoyed this, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. Can we have a round of applause for Promoth Manghat, CEO UAE Exchange, Nebil bin Aissa, CEO QPAY International Corporation, and Ziad Alshobaki, Managing Director of Quisk. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.